Good, happy Thursday morning, November 12, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Thursday morning, so let's begin. First up, 233 new positive test results for COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 3 new deaths were all announced on Wednesday, health officials said. Coronavirus in New Hampshire, key data and information. Let's take a look at that right now. And here is a look at that information for all of you right now. There are 13,148 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. There are 10,392,672 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 492 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 800 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire, and 249,18 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. And now let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire where current cases of COVID-19 are. In Manchester, there are 157. Let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire where total cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 2565. And now let's take a look at these 3 charts here. Let's start with the first chart here. New cases each day in New Hampshire. In the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 case. In the orange, new hospitalization. In red, deaths. Let's take a look at this chart here. Current cases. In the purple, total current COVID-19 cases. And in the orange, current hospitalization. Let's take a look at this chart here. Total cases. In the purple, total positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, total hospitalization. Red, deaths. And blue, recovered. Now let's take a look at this chart here. Positive PCR test rate and daily PCR test. Let's take a look at this chart here. Age group of cases. Female and male of cases and risk information. Let's take a look at this chart here. Infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. And let's take a look at this chart here. Deaths, percent of New Hampshire population, race/ethnicity of cases, and hospitalizations. And a reminder of your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, difficult breathing, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. The state contract tracing notifications experiencing lag time due to surge in cases. Lag time of 3 to 5 days. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Amy Cavino.
Snow piles up quickly. Remove it just as quickly with Kubota subcompact and compact tractors. Our #1 selling tractors are built in.
For DHHS, we've got to contain this. So we are all doing our own contact tracing.
COVID cases are surging in Berlin right now. The schools went remote at the end of October. 3 cases were identified within the school district.
DHHS has done a great job since March, but this is too big. I mean, it's just ramped up.
The Grapponi Center is contact tracing headquarters for the state. 12 hours a day, 150 investigators conduct phone interviews, connect the dots for thousands of COVID cases.
We have a tremendously effective contact tracing team here in New Hampshire. As the numbers continue to rise, the number of individuals we need to contact, that those folks may have been in contact with, grows exponentially.
Delays are inevitable. Some report 3 to 5 days, but health officials maintain the process is important and effective.
We're continually evaluating and adjusting and working with our community partners to figure out how we can most quickly conduct the contact tracing process.
If you are notified of exposure, you should quarantine right away, and a negative COVID test doesn't release you.
Quarantine means that they stay at home. The quarantine time period is 14 days.
Interesting to note that if you're notified of an exposure, that you're advised to wait 5 days before you get a COVID test to allow for an incubation period. However, no waiting on that quarantine. That starts right away. We're live this evening in Manchester. Amy Cavino, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Veterans Day ceremonies take a different look, still hold the same meaning. Ceremonies held across the state yesterday. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and our grandfather George decided.
It was a very different ceremony, but it still held all the dignity and honor that is due to the men and women who've served our nation. It was Veterans Day at Veterans Park in Manchester, a city with deep Franco-American roots cemented from the Revolution and 2 world wars.
This has created deep historic ties, the living heart of our transatlantic relations.
This ceremony held today in Manchester was just one of several around the state, large and small. All of them spoke about the sacrifice that veterans have made and the security that they've helped provide. There was no parade in Manchester, same in Nashua, to keep the crowds down. In the Gate City, there were several small ceremonies at different military markers.
Well, we're all thinking about the veterans and thank them for their service and remembering the ones that never been at home.
New Hampshire's biggest ceremony at the state's Veterans Cemetery in Boscawen was closed to the public and live streamed on Facebook. One speaker remarked it's important to reach out to veterans who may be feeling more isolated now than ever.
Call them, email them, IM them, text them, reach out online. No matter how, keep connecting.
Veterans have built the bedrock of our freedom, and we are grateful for the ground on which we stand. Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Travelers from New Hampshire face restrictions in more states. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cronin.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and our grandfather George decided.
With Thanksgiving and the holiday season quickly approaching, Granite Staters will need to consider new travel restrictions. Tonight, Vermont, Connecticut, and New Jersey are now requiring New Hampshire visitors to quarantine for 2 weeks. In some cases, 1 week of quarantine is allowed with a negative test. Vermont's governor discouraging all non-essential travel.
When you consider the amount of red we're seeing in the Northeast, and that it's not likely to improve for a few weeks, it only made sense to simplify the policy in order to ensure better compliance.
New Hampshire's rising COVID numbers causing concern among other governors. New York, Washington, D.C., New Mexico, and Alaska also have quarantine or testing rules for Granite Staters.
Travel increases your chances of getting and spreading the virus, so we need to avoid traveling as much as we practically can.
Local towns or cities may also have their own restrictions separate from the statewide rules. Officials in Vermont hoping it'll curb the spread of COVID-19.
Anyone who travels now must remember one thing. They need to follow Vermont's quarantine rules.
The travel rules can change very quickly in any state, so it's best to check the rules before you go somewhere. Reporting live, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Nashua's Children's Home needs help making holidays bright this year. The pandemic means more children will be celebrating at the facility. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cherry.
It's the official tractor of Tough Cap Month at Mahindra. Get great deals on all cap.
Whether it's a life-size Hungry Hippo contest or a Halloween costume party, the staff at Nashua Children's Home keep coming up with creative ways to help the kids bond with one another. However, these jovial images don't necessarily reflect their reality.
These are kids that have known more heartbreak, rejection, and abandonment by the time they're 10 years old than most of us are going to know in a lifetime.
The Nashua Children's Home has provided shelter and guidance for kids with an unstable family life. As if the holiday season isn't tough enough already, the pandemic presents unique challenges.
It's been difficult in that they've not been able to participate in a lot of community activities that they would have otherwise. They've not been able to hold community jobs. They've not been able to have home visits with their families during the situation. We really needed to be guarded.
Now the organization needs help bridging the gap for Christmas. Typically reliant on donations of toys and electronics, the Children's Home is asking for monetary donations or gift cards this year.
It's going to be the first year, really, that all of the kids at Nashua Children's Home are going to wake up on Christmas Day at Nashua Children's Home. So we've really kind of redoubled our efforts to make sure that it's going to be a memorable holiday for the kids.
For more information on how you can help Nashua Children's Home, visit this link on our website or mobile app. For the Spirit of Giving, I'm Mike Cherry.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire will be prepared for surge of COVID-19 cases, Governor Sununu says. State equipped with proper resources. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
Snow piles up quickly. Remove it just as quickly with Kubota subcompact and compact tractors.
Governor Chris Sununu weighing in on if we are losing control of the spread of coronavirus in New Hampshire.
I think it would be naive to think that you ever have control of a viral spread.
Sununu says cases won't be down to zero anytime soon, but the state is equipped with the proper resources.
I would never say that we have control on it. I don't think anybody does, but what we have great control on is those tools, resources, and management techniques that we've developed with our team over the past 6 months.
This week, the state's top doctor warning that if Granite Staters don't start taking the virus seriously, the risk to our communities and families could increase to the point where we lose the flexibilities and freedom seen over the summer. With an anticipated surge nationwide, Sununu says New Hampshire will be prepared. But should people expect another shutdown?
There's no single metric or single threshold in terms of pulling things back, other than we can be very strategic about how we do it. We can look at schools, we can look at businesses, we can look at individual business sectors, congregate settings, large groups. We can look at the data around those situations very carefully to say, well, here's where the virus is being transmitted.
The governor says he will look at all of that data when determining what next steps to take. Reporting live, Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.